Hey everyone, today we're going to be checking out the legendary Tumi Briefpack. And this is actually my first experience with a Tumi backpack, and I want to give a little bit of background to kind of set the stage for the review, but if you want to skip ahead, I'll include time codes in the description below. And so I've gotten a lot of questions over the years on why I don't feature Tumi bags on the channel, and the simple answer is that I've never been a huge fan of their aesthetic. That's typically what really catches my eye with a lot of bags, is just whether I like how it looks, and this is just not a style that I tend to gravitate towards, but I've always heard great things about Tumi as a brand. When I worked in consulting, many of my coworkers swore by these bags, and it's also just popped up on my radar a lot recently. I've seen Will Smith using this in some of his stories as he's been traveling around promoting movies. I've seen Tom Cruise using Tumi bags. And as I noted in the review that I did for the Pioneer Panda Pack, Casey Neistat is well known for using a Tumi bag like this on many of his adventures. And so, it's something that I've gotten more curious about, especially as, I really appreciate a very functional organizational layout, which this bag seemed to have in spades. Now, one thing about this bag is the price tag. So it comes in at $625. That's what I paid without taxes or shipping. So once you factor that in, it gets closer to $700. And I'm definitely not against paying a premium price for a high quality bag that I'm gonna really love using. I've bought many of those bags in the past, but this is the most expensive, meaning that there's a lot of expectations on what this bag should be able to deliver, considering that it's gonna be more than any of the GoRuck bags that I have, more than Triplant Design, Waterfield Designs, Evergoods Air, all the premium bags that I love to talk about on the channel. This is a good bit more expensive than those. And so in this video, I'm really gonna be talking about what it's been like to use this and my thoughts on the functionality, the experience, and whether I think it's worth the price tag that it comes with. So, really excited to dive in, share it with you guys. Before doing so, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Danny, and on this channel, we love reviewing popular travel and everyday carry gear. If you like these types of videos and you'd be interested in seeing more, please consider subscribing, as it helps the channel out a lot. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. Starting off with the overall aesthetic, the appearance here is pretty interesting in my opinion. As I alluded to in the intro, I'm generally not a huge fan of the style of Tumi's bags. They're just not as sleek or modern as something like an Air or Bellroy bag, which is what I tend to gravitate towards. They still feel a little bit more functional and old school, I guess, in the way that maybe a Swiss Gear and OGO backpack would be, but it just feels a little bit more fashion forward than those bags. And this is something that I've just grown accustomed to seeing with a lot of professional travelers in airport settings and in office settings. So I just have that sort of a vibe tied to it. So it'll work well in a professional setting, but I still think it's versatile enough for to use for other types of travel as well as for just taking into an urban environment. As far as the materials, the bag feels really solidly built. This exterior fabric is a ballistic nylon that feels like it's going to hold up well to rougher usage and offer a ton of abrasion resistance. It also feels like it's going to provide a decent amount of weather resistance. Beyond that, you also have some really smooth working YKK zippers all throughout, so it kind of checks off a lot of the boxes. I don't know that it necessarily feels much more premium than bags in the $200 to $300 range, but it does feel like something that is going to be with you for a while to come. The weight of the bag comes in at about 3.3 pounds, which feels pretty reasonable considering the size and the amount of pockets that the bag has all throughout. Continuing along the exterior, the bag doesn't necessarily have traditional water bottle pockets. It does have these two external zippered pockets that can hold a water bottle. I'll show these a little bit more closely later in the video. And then along the front, you have the Tumi logo, and you have an area that you can have monogrammed. I didn't, pay extra to have that feature with my initials or anything like that, so you just kind of have the blacked out space here, but you do have the option to customize it. And then at the top, you have a really nice carrying handle that feels reinforced, durable. It's got this sort of wrap around it that just makes it a little bit more comfortable to hold, so a nice implementation there. And then you also have the included luggage tag, again, just speaking to the travel-focused nature of the bag. And then the last thing I'll call out while we're talking about the exterior is that one thing this bag does very well is stand up on its own. So this has kind of got that toolbox style design where you can place this down next to you and easily access all of the compartments in the bag, something that I've come to really like more and more in many of the bags that I use, and so that's definitely something that has worked consistently well with this bag, whether it's been, emptier or full. Moving into the capacity, according to the dimensions, the bag comes in at about 26 liters, and to me that feels pretty close, especially when you account for the independent volume of many of the compartments that are distributed throughout. And to me, this is a really versatile size. I really like bags in this size range as they give a little bit more space for a longer day-to-day or if you're traveling, but they're not so overwhelmingly big that they're uncomfortable to use for EDC. And this is a bag that retains its shape well. That's what allows it to stand up. So it is gonna stick out a little bit more than some of the more modern, slimmer bags, but it never feels overwhelmingly bulky. It still felt like something that I would be able to navigate crowded areas with, jump onto public transit, and also carry onto a variety of domestic and international airlines. Taking a look at the harness system, so far the bag has been pretty comfortable to wear. I like how the straps have been implemented here. They have a nice amount of padding that's pretty soft and cushioned right out of the box. On the inside, you have a nice breathable mesh to help prevent moisture from building up. The straps also have a pretty nice width to help prevent the bag from digging into your shoulders when it's a little bit more packed out. Then on the straps, you have a couple of attachment points, which I imagine would pair with a sternum strap. I was surprised that there wasn't one included. Again, for the high price point of the bag, it might have been nice to include some of those accessories, but looks like you could add one if you wanted to. And then you have a couple of D-rings as well to clip on additional things, or maybe hang your sunglasses. And then as far as the back paneling, this has also been pretty comfortable. You have a similar type of padding to what we saw on the straps, well distributed all throughout. It also has the breathable mesh. And there is a little bit of elevation down here towards the bottom to give you some airflow while you're walking around throughout the day. One thing that I did notice with this bag as I was wearing it is that this bottom edge tended to dig into my back in a way that felt somewhat uncomfortable many times depending on how I was wearing the bag. So that's something that I just want to make sure to note, particularly if you've had issues with bags like the CTB26 and the CPL24 in the past. One additional thing to mention here on the back paneling is that you do have a really nice luggage pass-through that's going to allow you to rest this on a suitcase while traveling to save some weight on your back. Jumping into the organizational options, this is an area where the bag really stands out to me. Reminded me a little bit of something like the Tom Bin Synapse 25 as far as having just a super functional, useful layout with a lot of pockets that are distributed throughout. So starting off on the front, you have a series of quick access pockets. At the top, you have a nice zippered one here that is kind of a perfect spot for your sunglasses or quick grab tech accessories. You have an impressive amount of volume here. Currently I have my sunglasses with their hard shell case as well as my AirPods, but I would have had plenty of space to toss in maybe a portable battery or an additional charging cable. No additional organization provided here, but just again, really nice amount of space. And then at the bottom, you have another zippered quick access pocket that's got this really interesting sort of lip that comes over it. It's a little bit more of a rigid material, so provides some additional protection maybe from the elements. It can get in the way a little bit as you're opening the zipper up. And this is, still a compartment that has a decent amount of volume, so great for items that you're grabbing regularly that aren't super bulky, but still, a nice amount of space. Here I have my laptop cable and the wall adapter, which fit in there pretty nicely. You can see here the gusset on this compartment to allow it to come out a little bit, so really nice kind of thoughtful details there. The last compartment on the front is a little bit taller. It's got a nice amount of space and also some internal organization. It's got this nice zipper here. I really like the layout of these pockets and just how well it pairs with the ability of the bag to stand up on its own. So it very much feels like, kind of a digital toolbox where you can open everything up and access it pretty easily. So, well thought out design there, and then good amount of space here, nice independent volume to all of these segments of the bag. And so I like that you have just a large space here where you could place something a little bit larger or bulkier. At the moment, I have my alpaca admin pouch in there with some tech and EDC items. I also have a portable battery, and then on the back you have some of the built-in organization, a couple of slip pockets. They're not elastic per se, but they do have enough space for something like a Magic Mouse or a portable hard drive. I have a lightning cable and the wall adapter here, charge my phone. And then on the back you have a zippered pocket, which it'll be great for anything a little bit flatter that you don't want getting lost. And one additional thing that you have in here is a little lanyard with a clip that's going to be a good spot for your keys or a multi-tool. And then on the sides, you have two really spacious zippered pockets. This is what I was mentioning that could potentially be a water bottle area. I'm a big fan of these style of pockets. I called this out in the review for the Pioneer Panda Pack, which had a very similar sort of layout on the exterior. So these also have some gussets to allow them to expand outward, and they have their own independent volume. I mean, you can see how much this comes out here. So you'll definitely have plenty of space for something like the Evergood Civic Access pouch. Half liter, one of my favorites, fits in there. I was actually able to fit my Tom Bin Ghost Wheel pouch in there, and even with those items in there, it still felt like there was leftover capacity. And so that's where, if you want to use this to store a water bottle, you should be able to. So at the moment, this is my 26-ounce Yeti Rambler. You can see that it fits in there. It's not, an ideal compartment for a water bottle. For most kind of standard 26-ounce, I have a 20-ounce here as well. It's not going to be able to close up. So, it can just kind of hang there because of the gusset. It's fine. I mean, won't be super secure, but it'll stay in place as you're walking with the bag upright. You can also use this to maybe store an umbrella. So I do like the versatility offered by these types of compartments. But, for some people, they might not work quite as well as maybe a traditional pocket. So you have one of those on each side. And then taking a look at the laptop compartment, which to me is the biggest disappointment of this bag, if I'm being completely honest, especially for the price point. This has a dedicated top-loading laptop compartment on the back, and it's got a decent amount of padding. You can see it's got this nice material here. It's pretty soft, provides padding on both sides, but this compartment does not have a false bottom. Ooh. Just putting my laptop down a little bit harder, you can really feel the contact with the ground. There is some slight padding, but I mean, at over $600 for a tech-focused bag, it is really hard for me to overlook this particular issue on this bag, especially because if I'm using a bag like this, one of the key things that I'm going to be carrying is my laptop. So, really surprised when I first got this and started inspecting the laptop area that was like that. So, that'll be something that I call out as I summarize at the end, and that, again, is just a huge blow, in my opinion, to this bag. It does have a nice amount of space in this compartment. I currently have a 14-inch MacBook Pro. You could fit a 15 or 16-inch laptop comfortably. My bulky Acer laptop does fit in here as well, and so pulling my device out. Now with the compartment empty, you can get a better look at the inside. So again, you have the nice sort of padding and lining on the sides, and because it's dedicated and upright, it's easy to use this with your luggage pass through and get to your device quickly. It also has enough space if you want to use a case with your laptop. It should be able to fit in there to give you some additional peace of mind, but just really wish that there would have been some sort of false bottom included in this area. And then the last area that we're going to be taking a look at is the main compartment. So this bag has zippers that go pretty much to the bottom, but it does not open up fully clamshell. It's got these gussets on the side, so it opens up wide for you to have enough visibility into the compartment to be able to access whatever you need, but it doesn't open up fully flattened. I'm coming to like this layout more and more. I think it kind of offers a nice balance so that you can stand the bag up comfortably and not worry about this flap just opening up and spilling everything out. So I think it works well with the design of this bag. And so, pretty nice spacious main area here that is going to be able to handle some of the bulkier items that I typically carry with me. And so diving in, I have my Beat Studio wireless headphones, and then I have my Air Tech Kit here. I have the Evergoods Civic Access pouch, 1 liter down there at the bottom. Let me change the angle here so you can get a better look at the inside. And then I have the Civic Access pouch, 2 liters as well. And all of that fit in there pretty comfortably. It didn't feel like the bag was overly stuffed. And with the amount of space that's offered here, you can see it comes up a decent amount, so it would work well for minimal travel if I wanted to toss in my packing cube and a dop kit, maybe an extra pair of shoes, and use this for a weekend trip. And now with the compartment empty, you can get a sense of some of the additional organization that's provided here, which I don't always use because most of my stuff is in the pouches. But on the back, you have kind of a tablet sleeve. It's got maybe a little bit of padding here. At the moment, I have my iPad mini, fits in there very comfortably, more than enough space for a larger tablet if that's what you typically travel with. And then in front of that, you have a couple of larger slip pockets. They're pretty deep, so they'll work well for maybe some charging cables, an umbrella if you don't want to put it on the outside, and then they just kind of stay flat against the back if you don't want to use them. You also have the little Tumi patch here on the back that's sewn in. And then on the front of this compartment, you have some additional organization. You have one sleeve that goes down pretty much towards the bottom. So this could be another good spot to store your tablet, or maybe a notebook, a folder with some documents that you're reaching in to grab some contracts if you're using this for business travel. And then you have a little admin section here. It's nice that this is kind of pulled up so you can reach some of these smaller items without having to dig into the bottom of the bag. So you have a slightly larger slip pocket here, maybe a good spot for your phone, or at the moment I have Field Notes notebook in here, but you can see how this would be able to hold maybe your passport or other flatter items. And you have a couple of business card slots, which I don't tend to use. I don't carry business cards with me, but for the business traveler, you can see how this would be a nice feature to have. And then you have a couple of slots for a pen or a stylus. At the moment I'm only using one of these, and I have my Ridge Bolt Action pen there. Interesting thing about this one is that they're open on the bottom, so you do need something that actually has a clip to prevent it from sliding all the way through. And so overall, a pretty nice layout and amount of space in this main area, and I really like the organization all throughout the bag. That aspect is really well thought out. It combines really well with how great the bag stands on its own. And so definitely a functional bag, pretty stylish. If you're a fan of Tumi's aesthetic, if you want something from a well-known kind of classic brand that's gonna have a spot for all of your stuff, and you have a little bit of a higher budget, this could be an interesting option to take a look at. But with the lack of the false bottom on the laptop and some of the comfort issues, I do think that there's gonna be some other great options in a lower price range that are gonna be worth considering. And so to wrap up, it's been a pretty good experience testing out the Tumi Briefpack over the past couple of weeks. As promised, I want to come back around and talk about the price point. As I mentioned earlier in the video, this was listed at $625 when I purchased it. I got it from Amazon, and when I factored in the shipping and the taxes, it really came out to around $670. So definitely premium pricing, and I'm no stranger to paying premium prices for high quality bags that feel like they're going to offer a lot of value. The question is, did this one justify that high of a price tag? And on the one hand, I can see why people really like this bag. I tried to keep in mind the fact that Tumi is still considered in many circles a luxury brand, which I know carries a higher price tag in general. I've also heard from my friends that have used Tumi bags over the years that they really stand behind their products and offer a good warranty and support if you have any issues, or if you're traveling around the world and you go to a Tumi store, it seems like they'll take good care of you. I haven't experienced this personally. I haven't had a chance to travel with it. I don't know if that's changed over the years, but that's still the reputation that I've heard of with Tumi bags. And then the bag itself is well built, and it has a really functional layout. As I mentioned during the video, I really enjoyed the pocketing on this, super useful. With all that being said though, I personally don't feel that it justified its price tag. It just, first of all, didn't have a suspended laptop compartment, which was a really big miss in my opinion, particularly for something this premium. And in general, it just feels like Tumi's bags haven't quite kept up with the change of pace in the backpack industry. There's been so many incredible brands that have been coming out with really innovative materials, features, fabrics. This feels a little dated in my opinion, even though it has some of those rugged materials. It just doesn't feel as modern as something like an Air backpack, which comes in at almost half the price if you want to get a City Pack Pro, which is going to come in a ballistic nylon that feels as rugged, if not more than this. YKK zippers, many of them aqua guarded. You can get it in X Pack. It has a really functional layout. You can also check out Air's Tech Pack 3, another option that is just very, very rugged, functional. Like this one, it's kind of designed as a digital toolbox that'll stand up, allow you to access all the pocketing. Air stands behind their products. I've always had very good experiences with them. The harnesses are some of the most comfortable, and again, the price point that they offer feels very reasonable compared to the one that this one has. And then even looking at something like GoRuck's bags, which are, you know, when I feature them on the channel, I get a lot of comments around the pricing for them because they do come in at $400 or $500 depending on the material and the model that you get. So if you get a Heritage GR2 or something in Dyneema, that's probably going to push it into the $500 or almost $600 range. But I've always felt that GoRuck actually provides quite a bit of value for that price point. As far as the durability, still feels like a bag that's way more rugged than this one. It has a suspended laptop compartment, which is very important to me. They have a great lifetime warranty, which I haven't even had a chance to test out because none of my GoRuck bags have had any issues over the years. So, you know, that just speaks to the quality. And a lot of their premium bags are also manufactured in the USA, which typically bumps up the cost. And even when that factored in, it's not going to be quite as much as this bag here. So, you know, that just kind of puts it in perspective for me. This is also more expensive than the Triple Lot Design Axiom packs. Tom Binns bags are not at this price point, you know, which are also really functional, legendary bags in kind of the travel community. And so against all of those, I would probably still recommend those options over this bag, even though it has a great layout and all the things that people like about Tumi's bags. I think those alternatives are just going to provide as much, if not more value, and just, you know, more modern feature sets. Also, I'll call out Bellroy here. Something like the Transit Work Pack just feels like a really great alternative to something like this. I've also really enjoyed bags like the Hyper Pack, which has ballistic nylon exterior, comfortable harness, luggage pass-through, great organizational layout, great laptop protection, comes in at under $300. So, you know, there's just a lot of great options to consider as alternatives to this. And so, although I'm sure many people will continue to buy Tumi bags and probably be all right with them, for me, there's definitely some other options that I will be recommending. And I'm curious to hear what you all think of my review of the Tumi backpack and, you know, what your thoughts are on the pricing. And if you had any experiences with their bags or other products, let me know in the comments below. And also if there's any other similar bags that you would like to see featured on the channel. And as always, I want to thank you for watching and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos. And we'll see you in the next one.